Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to talk about Kate Welch, the new Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition designer that was just hired last week by Wizards of the Coast, specially selected by Mike Merles and his team. And so I was really fascinated by how this came down. So one, I think it's a fantastic pick. The biggest reason why I think Kate Welch is a really, really good pick, as soon as it was announced, I went over to her Twitter and I, kind of jumped in, looked at what was on her Twitter, and then also went over to her home page, which is our own website. So it looks like Kate Welch is primarily a web designer who has some video game design experience and is also a visual artist, a digital visual artist, and then has spent a good bit of time playtesting tabletop role-playing games. So I was really kind of interesting. I was like, that's an interesting mix to choose for the new designer. And actually, none of those things really excited me as far as a good pick for the new Dungeons & Dragons visual designer, right? But what I do think is a really, really good match is when you look at the work she's done within web design, within visual artistry, within video game design, and actually all of her tabletop design stuff seems pretty, it's less accessible online than the digital stuff, which kind of makes sense from just perspective, right? But when you look at the work she's done, you can see she's very smart and very creative. And I think those are absolutely the most critical parts. And actually, one of the things that's interesting is not only are those fantastic elements for being a D&D game designer, that's really what you need for any knowledge worker. And at the end of the day, that's what this is. This is knowledge work, right? And so, basically, and this comes from a kind of a theory. A lot of, I would say, a lot of top executives today feel this way. They're like, it really doesn't matter a whole lot what your experience is. It's absolutely critical that you are very, very smart and very creative. And I really kind of get that. And the reason why is the experience you have kind of doesn't matter too much in this world, because things change so quickly in this world that the reality is what you really need to be able to do is to be able to spin up fast, bring good ideas to the table, and then once ideas have been identified, the whole team needs to come together and bolt that thing together, build it up as quickly as possible, identify the problems within that product, and then iterate to fix those products and get that product out again, in a perfect manner. Now, one thing that's a little more challenging is, especially in the world of books, which is what Dungeons & Dragons was supposed to be based on, iterating that quickly shouldn't be as important. However, D&D Beyond just came out last year. It's a brand new product. It just came out last year. And one of the things that I'm actually kind of making my peace with is that Dungeons & Dragons is really going very, very digital, very, very fast. Now, kind of as I think I don't consider myself a grognard, but I know that what I'm about to say has some grognard perspectives, So my take on it is, I really think that that Dungeons & Dragons is the one game that deserves physical print and deserves actually to be what it's called, a tabletop role-playing game, right? So I'm really skeptical of the value of D&D Beyond, the digital rule source, and I'm incredibly skeptical of the value of online games, right? However, Dungeons & Dragons is going this way fast, where they're making D&D Beyond, it looks like it's very quickly becoming the default where all the energy and time is being spent, right? And the hiring of Kate Welch really kind of, I think, very much validates that. And I think from the perspective of more people playing D&D online than playing it at a table with physical books means that hiring Kate Welch is an incredibly smart decision. And I think she's really going to be a great fit on the team. Now, looking at Kate Welch's resume and seeing her perspectives, I think she will remember and honor the book's original source material, right? And that is physical books, people sitting around a table. And I think I'm not too worried that Kate Welch is going to really disconnect or help disconnect D&D from its roots. I think rather than say, it's wrong to play online or it's wrong to play D&D Beyond, I think the best way to think about it is just to really realize there's a premium experience within Dungeons & Dragons. The premium experience within Dungeons & Dragons is playing at a table with real people who could be your real friends, right? Who can actually talk to, when they've had a hard week, and give them a hug, like real interaction, right? And the reason why I say this is it's become very, very clear that online relationships are a shadow of real relationships. We know that from 20 years of video gaming, and the reality is the best friends do not come from World of Warcraft guilds. They just don't, right? They're real people that you really know, that you can interact with in a real way. And then also that D&D Beyond is a shadow of the play and the importance of the physical books. So there's really going to be, 2 layers of players going forward. The premium players and essentially the freemium players. That's all. Now I know D&D, essentially that's a better way to put it. People who play Dungeons & Dragons at a table with physical books, those are your Dungeons & Dragons players, right? Everybody else, the online crews are casuals, right? They're saying, I'm not willing to invest the time and the money to play Dungeons & Dragons at its most premium experience, right? And honestly, freemium, it's a valid model for many games, for many people. Perfect example of this is Pokemon Go. I very much enjoy Pokemon Go. I'm a Pokemon Go player. I have never spent a single dime on Pokemon Go, and I don't intend to, right? And the reason why is I just don't like spending money on things that aren't physical, right? It's just it's a bad model at any level, in my opinion, right? And so I play Pokemon Go literally every day, right? I make sure that I get out, I catch one Pokemon, and I hit one spinner because it's like a fetch question, essentially it gives you a certain amount, it keeps iterating a certain amount of experience, you get a lot of stuff, that kind of thing, right? So it gives parameters on how often you'll play, right? But at the end of the day, I'm a casual. I have a buddy who's very, very serious Pokemon Go player. He goes to raids. He is an actual Pokemon Go player at the premium level, at the highest level of the game. And so rather than tell people, hey, it's wrong to play online, what I'm saying is you need to graduate, right? So go ahead, play your online games, have a good time with that, and then when you're ready, come buy the books and gather a table and get the people around, and fill those seats around the table and eat some pretzels together and, and roll some physical dice on the table and, and have fun with the most highest form of the game. Now, with all that said, I think Kate Welch is a really, really good pick for Dungeons & Dragons overall. And also, while I have my concerns about Dungeons & Dragons being played online, I definitely understand why Mike Meroltz is going down this road. There is a huge number of players who really struggle to do anything offline, right? Not just D&D, but almost anything. If their preference is there, they're going to sit, at home with their $200 headset and microphone and your $600, chair, and that's their experience. That's what they prefer because that's their filter for a lot of life, right? But the reality is, one of the things that I think is a good idea is while you can grow the numbers of D&D by switching into an online game, I think at the end of the day, even the premium experience will rise because that's kind of a rising tide floats all boats. So while you have more and more and more and more players playing Dungeons & Dragons, what you're going to get is you're going to get more people who graduate from that shadow experience to the premium experience, right? From the shadow experience to the premium experience. And I think overall you'll have more premium experience players. So I think Kate Welch is a really unique choice. She really seems to be incredibly smart and incredibly creative. I think those are the absolute key aspects to be a good game designer. And also, I absolutely love the way Wizards of the Coast handled this entire experience, where they were very vocal about the open position. There was a lot of Twitter just went crazy over this. There's a lot of hashtag activity around that open position. It was interesting. I had a good time watching how it rolled, right? And so at the end of the day, I think Kate Welch is an extremely good pick for Dungeons and Dragons, and I am very, very excited to see what she does for the product. Hopefully, I will be able to see the product, because one of the issues is I have not subscribed to D&D Beyond, and the reason why is I don't need it. Right? It's the shadow version. I have the premium version. I have the Dungeon Master Guide, Player's Handbook, and Monster Manual of edition 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right? And when I play Dungeons and Dragons, there's 5 people at the table, including me. That's the premium experience. But I'm hopeful that I'll be able to see Kate's work in the material that's coming out, and I think it's really an excellent selection on the part of Wizards of the Coast. Take care.